The brain is the command center of the body. It processes sensory input, controls movement, regulates vital functions, and supports higher cognitive abilities. Structurally, it is divided into three main parts: the forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. The forebrain is the largest and most complex part of the brain. It is divided into two main regions: the telencephalon and the diencephalon, each with distinct structures and functions. The telencephalon is the largest part of the forebrain, forming the two cerebral hemispheres, collectively known as the cerebrum. Each hemisphere consists of an outer gray matter, called the cerebral cortex, and inner white matter. The cerebral cortex is the most complex structure in the human brain and serves as the center of conscious thought. It plays a vital role in intelligence, reasoning, and memory. The two hemispheres communicate and coordinate through a thick bundle of nerve fibers called the corpus callosum. Functionally, the cortex is divided into four lobes: the frontal lobe, temporal lobe, parietal lobe, and occipital lobe. The telencephalon houses primary sensory areas, including the visual cortex in the occipital lobe, the auditory cortex in the temporal lobe, and gustatory areas responsible for taste. It also includes motor areas that initiate voluntary muscle movement and the speech area responsible for language processing. The diencephalon lies beneath the cerebral hemispheres and forms a central part of the forebrain. It includes two major components: the thalamus and the limbic system. The thalamus functions as a clearinghouse for sensory impulses. It receives signals from various parts of the brain and relays them to the appropriate regions of the cerebral cortex. In addition to this relay function, the thalamus is involved in the perception of sensations such as pleasure and pain. The limbic system includes several key structures such as the hypothalamus, amygdala, hippocampus, and parts of the thalamus. The hypothalamus plays a crucial role in regulating homeostasis, controlling the pituitary gland, and managing vital functions like water balance, body temperature, hunger, and the sleep-wake cycle. It also influences emotions such as aggression, pleasure, and pain. The amygdala is responsible for processing emotions, particularly sensations related to pleasure, punishment, and sexual arousal. The hippocampus is involved in forming long-term memories, playing a critical role in memory consolidation. Together, these structures contribute to regulating emotions, memory, and many of the body's homeostatic functions. The midbrain, though relatively small, plays a vital role in the brain's overall function. Located centrally and forming a part of the brainstem, it receives sensory input from the eyes, nose, and spinal cord, and relays this information to the forebrain. It contains important structures called colliculi, which are involved in controlling reflex movements related to vision and hearing, earning the midbrain titles such as the auditory relay center and visual reflex center. Additionally, the reticular formation is located here. It filters and screens incoming sensory information from the hindbrain. The midbrain also acts as a critical conduit for ascending and descending neural tracts. The hindbrain is the posterior part of the brain and connects directly to the spinal cord. It includes four major structures: the medulla oblongata, cerebellum, pons, and reticular formation. These components work together to regulate vital bodily functions and maintain coordination and balance. The medulla oblongata is a crucial part of the brainstem that regulates many automatic, life-sustaining functions such as breathing, heart rate, and blood pressure. It also controls reflex actions like coughing, sneezing, swallowing, vomiting, and digestion. Because it houses these vital centers, damage to the medulla, such as in hanging punishments, can lead to immediate death due to the disruption of essential autonomic functions. The cerebellum, like the cerebrum, has a highly convoluted surface. It is primarily responsible for coordinating muscle movements, maintaining balance, and controlling body posture. In humans, it is more developed than in most other mammals, reflecting the complexity of our motor functions. Beyond movement, the cerebellum plays a role in motor learning and stores memories of practiced behaviors. Interestingly, the cerebellum is exceptionally well developed in birds, enabling the fine control needed for the complex task of flight. The pons is situated just above the medulla and plays an important role in several vital functions. It contains nuclei of important cranial nerves and helps regulate muscular coordination and facial expressions. Additionally, the pons influences the transition between wakefulness and sleep and helps control the rhythm and pattern of breathing. The reticular formation is a network of neurons that extends through the medulla, pons, and midbrain. Its primary role is to filter and monitor incoming sensory signals, deciding which messages are important enough for the brain to respond to and which can be ignored. For example, a mother may wake up instantly to her baby's cry while the father continues to sleep, perceiving the sound as non-urgent. This selective responsiveness is controlled by the reticular formation. The brainstem consists of three main components: the midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. It controls essential functions like sleep and wakefulness, along with several basic life-sustaining activities. From an evolutionary perspective, the brainstem is considered the oldest and most primitive part of the brain, forming the core of neural control even in simpler organisms. The spinal cord is a thick whitish nerve cord that extends from the medulla oblongata through the foramen magnum and continues down the vertebral canal into the hip region. It is structurally organized with dorsal roots that carry sensory axons and ventral roots that carry motor axons, both of which merge to form spinal nerves. In cross-section, the spinal cord shows an outer white matter region composed of axons and an inner gray matter region made up of neuron cell bodies and unmyelinated fibers. At its center lies a canal filled with cerebrospinal fluid. Functionally, the spinal cord acts as a highway for communication between the brain and the autonomic nervous system, and it also serves as a control center for many reflex actions.